Okay, so the way the entire world trades could be about to change, like fundamentally. There's a single high-stakes meeting happening at the World Trade Organization that could either save the global rulebook or basically tear it up for good. The whole system is on the line, so let's get into what is actually going on. And that really brings us to the big question we're all asking. Is the global trade game about to get completely flipped on its head? I mean, for decades, we've had this system, right? A referee, a common rulebook, things were predictable. But now, that referee is on the ropes, and the rules are starting to look pretty frayed. What happens next could seriously affect the price and availability of, well, almost everything you buy.
So to really get what's happening, you have to understand the referee in this game. Because right now, in the world of global trade, that referee is pretty much down for the count.
And that referee, that's the World Trade Organization. You've probably heard of it as the WTO. Just think of it as the ultimate arbiter for how countries do business with each other. Its entire job is to create one single set of rules for its 166 member countries to make sure there's a level playing field and to keep trade fair and predictable for everyone. Now, this whole thing, this entire global system, is built on one core idea, and that idea is called multilateralism. It's pretty simple, really. It means all 166 countries come to the table, they hash out one set of rules, and, this is the important part, they all agree to play by them. The whole thing is supposed to be about cooperation. And this is really where you see the two worlds colliding. On one side, you've got multilateralism, everyone playing the game together. But the big threat that's growing right now is unilateralism. That's where powerful countries pretty much decide, you know what, those rules don't really apply to us. They go it alone, using their economic power to get what they want. It's this fundamental clash that's pushing the WTO right to the edge. So that begs the question, right? Why is this all happening now? I mean, why are these rules, which have kind of held everything together for decades, suddenly starting to crack? Well, right at the center of this storm, you've got the huge geopolitical rivalry between the United States and China. As these two economic giants have grown more and more powerful, the friction between them has created these massive shockwaves that are shaking the very foundations of the global trade system. If you look at it from Washington's point of view, the WTO just isn't doing its job anymore. The argument is that the rules they helped create haven't been strong enough to handle China's state-led economic model. So there's this growing feeling in the US that the system is broken and no longer works for them.
So what did the US do about it? Well, they did something pretty drastic. They basically took out the WTO's Supreme Court, which is called the appellate body. By just blocking any and all new judges from being appointed, they've completely paralyzed the system that settles disputes and enforces the rules. The referee literally can't make a final call anymore. And what's wild is how quickly this all happened. Think about it. Back in 1995, the US was the WTO's biggest cheerleader. They even helped China join in 2001, but by the 2010s, that frustration was boiling over. And that led directly to the gridlock we have today. It's a pretty stunning turnaround in just a couple of decades. But look, this isn't just a US-China story. The WTO has its own big internal problems. And the main one is that it moves at a glacial pace, because every single one of its 166 members has to agree on new rules. Getting anything done is, well, almost impossible. The result? In nearly 30 years, they've only managed to push through 2 major new agreements. Meanwhile, the real economy is moving at lightning speed. And all of this, all these tensions, they're coming to a head right now at this big conference, MC14. This is the arena where all these abstract problems become very real fights over the future of how we all trade. All right, so the first big fight is about a potential and kind of controversial fix called plurilateral agreements. The idea is pretty simple. If you can't get all 166 countries to agree on something, why not let smaller groups of countries that are willing to move forward make their own deals? But this is a huge point of contention. On one side, you have people saying this is the only way to keep the WTO relevant and make rules for modern problems. But on the other side, countries like India are really worried. They see this as something that would just fragment the global system, destroy that core principle of multilateralism, and open a Pandora's box where the most powerful countries just write rules that benefit themselves.
Okay, battle number 2. This one is about something that wasn't even a thing when the WTO was born. The giant multi-trillion-dollar world of digital trade. We're talking about everything from software and data flows to your favorite streaming services.
And at the heart of this fight is something called the e-commerce moratorium. Basically, since 1998, countries have had this gentleman's agreement not to put tariffs on digital stuff. This is a big reason why digital trade has exploded.
But here's the catch. It has to be renewed every couple of years. And guess what? Its time is up.
So you've got this huge split. Developed nations, for the most part, want to make this ban on digital tariffs permanent. They argue it's absolutely critical for future growth. But a lot of developing countries see things differently. They see a massive, untapped source of tax revenue. For them, letting this ban expire means they can finally start taxing the flood of digital goods coming into their countries.
And that brings us to the third and final major fight. And this one is all about fairness. It's about who gets a bit of a break under the rules.
It's all built on this WTO idea called Special and Differential Treatment, or SDT for short. And the logic is pretty simple, right? Not all economies are on the same level. So this principle gives developing countries more flexible rules and some special rights to help them catch up and compete in the global market.
But now the U.S. is pushing back on this. The argument coming out of Washington is that some of these giant, fast-growing economies, like China, India, Brazil, aren't really developing anymore and shouldn't be getting these special perks. As you can probably guess, those countries could not disagree more.
So with all these different battles raging at the same time, where does that leave us? Well, the world of trade is truly standing at a crossroads, and there are two very, very different paths forward. Path A is the hopeful one. It's a revitalized WTO where countries actually find a way to compromise, they fix that broken dispute system, and they double down on having a single set of rules for everyone. And then there's Path B. And that one, well, that one's a lot darker. It's a world where unilateralism wins, the system shatters into pieces, and global trade is just decided by raw power and who can bully who.
I mean, the stakes here are just incredibly high. A failure at this conference isn't just some missed meeting. It would be a huge victory for a might-makes-right approach to trade. It risks creating a whole new global order based on force, which would be just devastating, especially for developing countries.
And so it all comes down to this one final question. The entire system we've known was built on this big idea that one set of rules could work for everybody. But now that the giants of the world are clashing, you have to wonder, can a single set of rules really survive? The answer to that is being decided as we speak.
You can download the complete notes of this video from the pinned comment below. If this video helped, do like and subscribe to the BriefCase for daily visual explanation.